Hey guys, today we're at the Vietnamese Women's Museum here in Hanoi, and we're going to take y'all around with us and take a look and see what all they have here. I've heard it's super nice, so let's go. Hi, welcome to Twists and Travels. We're Larry and Pam, a couple on a new adventure. After my life-changing scoliosis surgery, I can finally walk better and live with less pain. Now we're making the most of this new chapter, traveling together and exploring places we've always dreamed of. Join us as we share our journey of recovery, discovery, and all the amazing adventures ahead. Thankfully, they actually have elevators here. Listen, here's what's on all the different floors. You do have to go up quite a few stairs to get in the building. At least they have elevators once you're inside. I tell you what, these women can carry a whole lot of stuff. We saw a lady walking down the street just a minute ago, little small woman about the size of my mom, 5 foot nothing, probably 120 pounds max. I bet she was carrying at least 200 pounds worth of fruits and vegetables. This is how she was carrying the basket we saw down the street, but it had fruit and vegetables in it. Oh, here we go, the next picture. Crazy how much stuff they can carry. His wife and husband are as inseparable as a pair of chopsticks. Yeah, they have like the whole wedding procession on video here. Wow. Oh my. They used to put grapefruit skin and February fruit to perfume the home for new mothers and to chase out evil spirits. Garlic and February thorns are attached to the entrance of the room to ward off evil spirits. These are the medicines that they used to use after birth if needed. Apparently a silver bracelet would encourage lactation. The new mother strikes it against the foot of a fig tree. And a breast comb. Ouch. There's a little baby carrier. Show some pictures of the babies in it. Next, we're going to go to women in history. Over here it has pictures of the heroic mothers of Vietnam. It says the battle for reunification of the country could not have been accomplished without the silent sacrifices of the women whose children and husbands died for the motherland. In recognition of their sacrifices, on September 24, 1994, the Permanent Committee of the National Assembly established this honorary title of Heroic Mothers of Vietnam, which was granted to women who had lost more than 2 children, their only child, only one child, or their husband and children, or their own life. On December 2008, almost 50,000 women received the title, some posthumously. One person lost 10 children, 2 grandchildren in 1945. And this next section is 46 to 54. The guerrilla forces were a popular army founded in the villages to fight against enemy raids and destroy enemy posts. Nationally, 980,000 Vietnamese women participated as guerrilla forces. This next section says 1946 to 1954, civil resistance. During the resistance mobilization, women undertook many key roles, including care of wounded soldiers, supply of troops, and financial and food requisitioning. In northern and central Vietnam, 1,575,000 tons of rice was collected, and 35,730,000 meters of fabric was made for the cause between 1951 and 1954. In the occupied zones, women hid revolutionaries and maintained liaison with revolutionaries. From 1950 to 54, in the partially liberated zones, women donated 9,578,000 workdays for the transportation of food and arms, 2,381,000 days of which was just for the Ding Ding Food Campaign. The next time period is 1954 to 1975. It says Southern Vietnam. Women are the vanguard force in political battles. During the 1960 uprising, almost 1 million female actions resulted in the defeat of 20,000 enemy soldiers and militia, and the liberation of 895 communes. Prior to 1965, almost 20 million women participated in military and political battles. In rural areas, villagers fought against conscription, the creation of strategic villages, the indiscriminate firing of mortar shells, and the use of chemical weapons. They also requested indemnity for civilians in urban areas. Female workers, students, businesswomen, intellectuals, and nuns organized meetings for peace, civil rights, women's dignity, and traditional values. The next time period is 1954 to 1975. In the South, women represented 40% of the guerrilla and militia forces. There were more than 50 female squadrons and many platoons of female guerrilla fighters and artillery combatants in the rural or mountain regions. The female artillery groups in Ben Duc and Mai Pho destroyed 12 planes, 305mm artillery guns, a fuel store, and killed and wounded more than 100 American GIs on March 8, 1969. In urban areas, female militias and commandos destroyed military authority by attacking important enemy-controlled posts. In the 1968 offensive, a group of 11 female Lay Citadel militia members defeated a battalion of Marines, killing more than 100 soldiers. In that same time period, under care of the wounded, on the front and in the liberated zones, the military hospitals, female medics not only administered first aid, transported and nursed the wounded, but also undertook complex surgery. During bombing attacks, the female medics had to evacuate the wounded to tents in safe areas and protect the wounded until they were ready to return to the front lines. Conditions were difficult, with sleep often impossible because of the need to dig trenches or care for the wounded. The women also shared their meager rations with the wounded. In the occupied zones, the women worked underground in tunnels and were in charge of medication and medical instrument supply for the revolutionary troops. Still in that same time period, we're going to talk about life during war. During the destructive war of the Americans, Northern Vietnam militarized the entire population to create action stations, tunnels, and air raid shelters, as well as evacuating civilians in high-risk zones. At the same time, agricultural production was a focus to ensure the stability of daily life. Anti-aircraft defense was a priority. Residents had to be diligent, limit the use of lights to protect themselves from bombers, and hide in the air raid shelters at the signal from an air raid siren. In many regions, daily activities had to take place in the air raid shelters or in the tunnels. During that same time period in southern Vietnam, prison battles with Saigon
regime established 176 district and 44 provincial prisons. The Duke housed female political prisons at Condell. The women prisoners were locked in tiger cages. While chained, they were forced to eat, sleep, and fulfill their bodily functions in the same spot. They were beaten, electrocuted, and burned with lime, but they did not stop calling for the improvement of their detention conditions or lose their attachment to their communist ideals. They asked permission to mourn the death of Uncle Ho in 1969 and for their liberation according to the Paris Accords of 1973. Still during that same time period, we'll talk about young volunteers and soldiers. In 1965, the Anti-American Young Volunteers Force was founded and maintained road communications. More than 60,000 women repaired the roads after bombing at crucial points such as the Ham Rong Bridge, the Bin Du Ferry, and the Dong Lok Crossroads. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing any of these. Women soldiers mostly worked in medical care and communications. Some were truck drivers at the front. The Ran Thai Han team of 35 drivers transported goods and wounded soldiers in Quang Binh combat zone, contributing to the construction of the famous Ho Chi Minh Trail. The militia, under the direction of local military committees, female militias worked in the fields, in the factories, in battle, transporting and nursing the wounded and repairing bomb damage. 20 groups shot down 28 planes out of a total of 4,183 planes brought down by the armed forces. 245 groups of the militia received the title of Hero of the Popular Armed Forces, including Ho Lak, Dong Fong Hong, and New Thai. After the Paris Peace Accords on January 27, 1973, the American armed forces and their allies left Vietnam. The regime of South Vietnam lost support and began to collapse. The Southern Liberation Army strengthened and the Liberation Zone widened. At the end of 1974, the VC Political Bureau launched the massive Spring Campaign in 1975. Women played an active role alongside the armed forces. They led the political battle, creating awareness among soldiers at the South and supported the armed forces in battle. They destroyed garrisons and drove out the local authorities. On the 14th of April 1975, Saigon was liberated through the Ho Chi Minh Campaign. During this campaign, women cadres with the other revolutionary forces and civilians started an uprising and occupied important economic and political offices on behalf of the professional armed forces, contributing to the complete victory and the reunification of the country. Now we're going to go see women's fashion. 4-4. As you can see, they have plenty of screens where you can put the headphones on to hear the little videos as you're going along. These outfits are all handmade, by the way. Hand embroidered. Beautiful. Can you imagine the young kids of today learning how to embroider like this? I can't imagine myself learning how to do that. Much less at all looking just flawless. That one's from the 50s. And the next ones are from the 80s, and the 2008, 1990. And that one is 1968. All goes on. Seven, 2001, 1962 is the all in black, and 2003 is the black one in the back. Then we have 1980, and then 1956 is in the back, and then 2002. I think they'd have these in order. And then the one in the case is from 1980. These are the different type of headdresses. And then here's a type of jewelry. From 70s and 80s. Then we go 1980, 1980, And the last one is from 2000. Hey, this one in the case is from 1930. Oh, they did lacquered teeth. Until the 20th century, men and women lacquered their teeth black with resin from a tree. The Thai, Quang, and laburnum tree branches to extract resin, which was collected on a piece of metal or bamboo tube. Water was added to make it sticky. In the evening before going to bed, 3 or 4 layers were applied to the clean teeth. 2 or 3 days later, the process was repeated to ensure the teeth were very black. Then a criterion for female beauty. Girls first lacquered their teeth between the age of 12 and 13. And then the last set of costumes, we have 2015, 2020. The yellow is 2010, or gold. And then 1971 to 75 for the red. The next one says 40 to 60. They used to make it with the felt fabrics. And then 45 to 50s. And the black was 68. Last one's 94, the green, and then the one in the case was from 1956. And these are just some kitchenwares, I guess, a pot. I guess that concludes our trip to the Women's Museum. Thanks, and we'll just pick it back up at our next stop.